There's a relatively new studio in Beijing, Lightchaser Animation Studios, or Zhuiguang Donghua, which has recently produced several highly stylized films that riff on ancient Chinese legends, and it's intriguing. The overarching theme is classic legendary characters reborn into surprising modern situations, and having to rediscover what their identity means. Based on their post-credit sequences, weirdly referred to as hidden eggs in an iffy translation, they seem to be leading towards an Avengers-like crossover. These films are not remotely my style, but the audacity of the concept makes the series of films well worth watching, if you enjoy Japanese-style CGI, which I don't, or, like me, are passionate about Chinese culture. This video is going to deal with the 3 New Gods films to date. The studio's first film for an adult audience, Whitesnake, I have not seen, but it appears to follow the well-known Chinese legend. The other I've missed, which sounds really awesome, but it looks unrelated. It's a lengthy biography of the poet Li Bai. Neither of those bear the subtitle New Gods like the 3 movies in this review. Also not reviewed, the trio of kids' films that launched Lightchaser's career. The original Nezha is a powerful super baby who rides around on a flaming unicycle. When you say it like that, it's pretty weird. And I say that as someone who has a framed Qing Dynasty painting of Nezha in my house. He has a cantankerous relationship with his father, a general, who eventually convinces Nezha to commit suicide in an act of filial piety. The child is reincarnated out of a lotus flower by a Taoist mystic, and eventually becomes an extraordinarily powerful and immortal warrior. In Journey to the West, Nezha is sent by the Jade Emperor to battle the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. The 2 warriors become friends, and Nezha aids the Monkey King in his arduous pilgrimage. One of the most famous stories recalls how Nezha fights the son of the sea dragon to save the local children from being eaten. He rips out the dragon's spine. In this movie, Nezha is reborn as a sexy motorcycle mechanic in a steampunk version of Republic-era Shanghai. Nezha forms an uneasy alliance with someone who is obviously Sun Wukong in disguise, and reignites his rivalry with the Dragon King's son, who still bears the scars of having his spine ripped out from an earlier incarnation. The movie shifts from style to style, with references to the classic 1980 Nezha feature-length cartoon from China, but it obviously owes a debt to Japanese animation of today. It also nods to other well-known franchises. The first 20 minutes are essentially a remake of John Wick. A crazy driving dude gets approached by a cocky gangster who wants to buy his ride, and the driver refuses, so the gangster kills Nezha's adorable pet, and then his crime lord dad gets really pissed off because his son has just launched a war against John Wick. Nezha. These movies love using avatars, characters whose true form gets created as a giant glowing animal or god. Nezha conjures up his form as a 3-headed child. The main theme of this movie is, who am I? And the answer is, somebody a lot bigger and more important than you know. The second movie, Jiang Ziya, combines an 11th century BC general with the legend of fox spirits. The real Jiang Ziya wrote a classic of strategy, but here he's cast as a superhero on a mission. He's trying to walk an amnesiac fox spirit through her redemption. If you know what a fox spirit is, and any casual fan of Chinese culture will know, there simply isn't any tension here. The most interesting aspect is the sympathy demanded of the audience for a fox spirit, which is traditionally a dangerous succubus. If you notice that historic painting of Jiang Ziya at the beginning, you might notice a difference from the hero of this film. While I love the beautiful settings in these movies, it's a little laughable that every single human character is super hot. Some background. Lady Whitesnake is a major classic of Chinese folklore. There are operas and many movies. There's 2 snake demons, Whitesnake and Greensnake, and they live peaceably in the countryside, until the Buddhist monk and amateur ghostbuster Fai Hai hunts them down. Whitesnake has made herself vulnerable by falling in love with a naive boy named Su Xian, and gets imprisoned in the Leifeng Pagoda in Hangzhou. That's what happens in the first movie, presumably. Greensnake picks up where the classic story leaves off. When her sister is imprisoned, Greensnake blacks out and finds herself in a modern-looking post-apocalyptic cityscape where gangs rule and monsters are everywhere. Whereas Nezha Reborn pulled imagery from Japanese animation, Greensnake digs into Western 80s post-apocalyptic B-movies. Early scenes rely on Greensnake's friendship with a motorbike-loving wastoid, and it's hard not to think of Night of the Comet as the 2 young women gleefully tour their wasteland. Then a biker gang, led by the demon Oxhead, pulls up, and you can't avoid thinking of Lord Humongous from Road Warrior.
Just walk away.
But But more is going on. The city is Purgatory, and upon entering the gates of Chinese hell, one is first greeted by the demons Horseface and Oxhead. These two escort newly dead souls to the courts of hell. The two feature, like many traditional creatures, in Journey to the West. They attempt to drag Sun Wukong to hell, but he whoops them and attacks the fabric of hell itself. It would be a stretch to say that the Oxhead army ties Greensnake to Nezha, since everybody gets whooped by Sun Wukong at one time or another. Well, everybody but the Buddha. Which brings us to Fi Hai. Everybody hates Fi Hai, and that's quirky in a film series about reincarnation, and Fi Hai is the only clearly Buddhist character. The fox spirits pop up again, this time as a very Edna mode super genius who flips her identities by swiveling her head to speak with her human or fox faces. Very good cop, bad cop. This character also appears in Whitesnake, but like I said, you can't review what you haven't seen. There's a lot to love in these films. The scenery is gorgeous in all three, whether it's a snowy wasteland in Jiang Ziya or the cliffside hospital built on an ancient statue in Nezha. Innovation is everywhere, taming a robot shark to chase the Dragon King, and the series' genuine heart for Chinese culture just makes me happy. Just look at the recurrence of amnesia in each story. A dragon, a warrior god, a snake demon, and a fox spirit have each forgotten who they are. Regaining memory is more important than life, and this makes me feel that this series is quintessentially Chinese. Losing your past, especially in a rapidly modernizing country that's been through what China's been through in the past 100 years plus, is losing your way entirely. Cultural preservation requires love and effort, and that's what Lightchaser seems to be doing here. For source material, Lightchaser Animation has the biggest sandbox in the world. Marvel Comics is only 90 years old, and they're already swimming in a glut of characters. China has a little bit deeper of a well to draw from. The studio is irreverent, yet as devoted to the core of what these characters mean as possible. Nezha, as a smuggling motorcycle delivery man, has all of his namesake's wild child attitude, and all of his filial piety as well. Fox spirits and ghosts ride that line between being scary and being lonely, like seen in Pu Songling's 17th century Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio. I expect Lightchaser could do this all day. I'm very curious to see where they go from here.